An important historical painting appears at the start of Outlander Season 7, Episode 15, but some details have been altered, making this small Easter egg even more fascinating. The opening song of each Outlander episode is followed by a brief clip. After the Sky Boat song, the rolling credits conclude with a brief, usually silent scene that usually contains hints about key scenes in the upcoming episode. The title clip for Outlander Season 7, Episode 15 centers on a real-world painting, but this is much more than a study of art history. Written in my own heart's blood, an episode of Outlander, the Battle of Monmouth officially begins. In the run-up to this pivotal battle in the Revolutionary War, Jaime was elevated to Brigadier General, giving him command of a whole 300-man battalion against the British Army. As usual, Claire works as a medic, tending to soldiers hurt in combat at a field hospital converted from a church. One of the highlights of Outlander is always watching its characters participate in actual historical conflicts, and the episode 15 opening scene's iconic painting made this point very clear. A man and a young girl are shown in this Outlander clip admiring a painting in a museum. A battle scene is depicted in this real-life painting, Molly Pitcher at the Battle of Monmouth, via the Francis Tavern Museum. A woman is seen standing ready in front of a cannon, and soldiers from both the British and Continental armies are scattered across the ground. Dennis Malone Carter painted the oil painting on canvas in 1854, and it was named after the term used to describe the women who would bring water to soldiers on the battlefield. Though the person portrayed in this painting is based on a real person, Molly Pitcher wasn't just any woman. On June 28, 1778, in New Jersey, a woman named Mary Ludwig Hayes witnessed her husband's collapse while she was transporting water across the battlefield during the Battle of Monmouth. The cannon her husband had been manning would then need to be recalled without soldiers to operate it, so Hayes took over. Hayes was later recognized by George Washington by being made a non-commissioned officer for maintaining the cannon firing for the rest of the battle. Although the painting features characters from Outlander Season 7, Hayes was unfortunately absent from Episode 15. The painting depicted in Outlander and the actual Molly Pitcher at the Battle of Monmouth are very different. Sam Heughan's Claire Fraser is shown in uniform, leading his Continental battalion, rather than a shirtless man bracing Hayes' cannon. Furthermore, Outlander's rendition of the Molly Pitcher painting depicts Claire Fraser, played by Caitriona Balfe, tending to the man's wounds rather than a soldier leaning over his fellow fallen warrior. Because it rewrites history to include Outlander's protagonists, this is a fun extra detail. The fantasy series feels even more realistic when fictional characters are set in actual historical paintings, as if Jaime and Claire actually existed and took part in the Battle of Monmouth. The people who are shown viewing Outlander's rendition of Molly Pitcher at the Battle of Monmouth in the opening scene of the episode, however, are even more fascinating than this. In the opening scene of Outlander, the two individuals observing Jaime and Claire in the painting Molly Pitcher at the Battle of Monmouth are facing away from the camera. They are still quite identifiable though. The young red-headed girl by her side is sufficient proof that the man is, indeed, Tobias Menzies' Frank Randall, if there was any question. The idea here is that the father and daughter saw this historical painting in person at a museum, most likely the Francis Tavern Museum in New York City, and this young version of Brianna is probably a preteen. The fact that Frank would have undoubtedly recognized Claire and Jaime in the painting makes this especially intriguing. His wife was Claire, and following Claire's initial disappearance after seeing the man's ghost, he had plastered drawings of Jaime's face all over Inverness. Naturally, as a historian, Frank would also be aware that Claire's departure from the past and return to the 20th century occurred decades after the Battle of Culloden. The fact that his wife appeared in Molly Pitcher at the Battle of Monmouth would have provided more proof that Claire would time travel once more following her reunion with Frank. However, Brianna had never met Jaime Fraser and would never have thought that the woman in the painting, hunched over a fallen soldier, might be her mother. Nevertheless, it's intriguing that Brianna was unaware of the proof of her mother's time-traveling exploits. Given that Brianna has returned to her time-traveling exploits in Outlander Season 7, Episode 15, this revelation is particularly significant. However, the appearance of this painting in the Starz fantasy series has multiple additional layers. The Battle of Monmouth is the focus of Outlander Season 7, Episode 15, so it makes sense that the most well-known painting connected to this historical event would open the episode. But it is not limited to this. Named for those who brought much-needed water to the battlefield and the particular woman who joined the battle, Molly Pitcher at the Battle of Monmouth is all about the contributions made by women during the Revolutionary War. Claire was serving the cause when she was shot by a stray bullet in this episode of Outlander. The painting is also a tribute to Claire as a woman serving in the Continental Army. The choice to specifically include Frank and Brianna in this episode has an even greater impact than this. On the desk at Lallybroch, Brianna discovered a letter from Roger before making her way to the stones. This also occurred in the Outlander novel, Written in My Own Heart's Blood, but Brianna also discovered a letter from Frank. Given how much Frank knew about Claire and Brianna's future time travel, this letter was a major revelation in Diana Gabaldon's book series. After learning that Claire does not perish in the house fire, the man concluded that Brianna would previously join her mother. Written in My Own Heart's Blood, episode 15 of season 7 of Outlander, omitted Frank's letter to Brianna. But at least his story was recognized by having these two characters in the opening clip. Even though Brianna wasn't hinted at in this version of the story, the episode still gives viewers the impression that Frank knew Claire and Jamie would participate in the Battle of Monmouth. Time travel in Outlander is so exciting because of these kinds of details.